government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
Father, before I begin, bless me, Father, for I'm about to sin. America. I pledge allegiance to the United States of America. One nation, indivisible, under God, for real. And Corn Pop was a bad dude. And he ran a bunch of bad boys. Senators here. Chuck, stand up, Chuck. Let him see you. Oh, God love you. What am I talking about? I tell you what, you're making everybody else stand up, though, pal. Thank you very, very much. I tell you what, stand up for Chuck. The best way to get something done, if it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, from Charlotte, another line going from in Florida down to Tampa of Putin's kleptocracy. Yeah. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put the idea that Los Angeles and what am I doing here? For two reasons. One, you won't be safe in Joe Biden's America. We hold these truths to be self-evident. All men and women created by you know the thing. Let's be clear. I hear it all the time. Cumulative, definitely, I can play for the programs many times over. Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys. Let me start off with two words. Made in America. Made in America.
Welcome back to another night of Shtick with Koolfrogg. Oh my Lord. Some nights it just gets me more than it does others. That man just, the gas just, they're never going to stop. There's more. There's more. I'm telling you, out of all the things that you see that in the head of this show, you look at that headline and you see if it's exactly there, and there's so much more. There's so much more. We're gonna have some fun here tonight. We're gonna laugh at Joe Biden because that's what we do. What's up, Vicky T? What's up, Jariah? Good to see us. Glad you're here. I am live also over on Rumble. If you haven't done so already, make sure you check out Rumble. I will be talking to them as well. As I do have the tendency to speak with my audience as the audience is here. So I hope I'm doing well. I hope you're doing well, Jara. I hope everything's going well for you. Things are going well here. Ready and excited for this night to pop off. Beautifully inappropriate. What is up? Good to see you, beautiful. Glad you're here. Y'all bump that like button for me. We're going to get moving on into some of this business of the world. Now, it might look like there's a lot, but there's really not. There's some 31 tabs, but some of those tabs are going to be kind of compact into some of the others. And it should not be that long of a night. It should not be that long of a night. Try keeping it as short as I possibly can. Because I know sometimes some of the longer-winded content can be a little disturbing. I guess last night nobody really cared for what was being played, and everybody stuck around one spot or something. When it came down to it, it seemed as I didn't realize how many people were doing the same thing and watching that, and I just kind of like, I'll do better. I'll give you a good show, something that you can appreciate. Again, bump that like button. Stick around. We'll go through some fun stuff here. Don't want to miss the good night. Those wondering, I've taken myself off of camera for a short bit. I needed to, and now tonight in particular, Tadpole is in the room. I asked him to be quiet if he could. He said that he would. It is late. It is past his bedtime, and his mom did not want to deal with him. So I'm allowing him to be in the room. Everybody can say hello to Tadpole if you wish. He is around, and you may hear him. It happens sometimes. And we just deal with it. So here we go. NATO sued for dropping cancer-causing depleted uranium shells in Serbia. You don't say. You don't say. That NATO, primarily owned by the United States, it kind of seems like it's a larger thing than it's supposed to be. But, when it comes down to it, NATO, United States of America, and NATO really kind of have something really closely tied to each other. So then, just to kind of through some of this, is since the end of the war, where the 30,000 people were diagnosed with cancer every year in Serbia before the bombings in 1999, the number of people diagnosed with cancer was less than 7,000 a year. Serbia is a country in Europe with the highest death rate from cancer from the second of the world, according to the indicator, after Mongolia, according to data from the World Cancer Research Fund International. The impact on NATO's irresponsible use of depleted uranium is felt not only in Serbia, but in neighboring countries such as Bulgaria, Romania, North Macedonia, and Bosnia, and Herzegovina, which have all seen huge increases in cancer diagnosis. So, because of their use of particular styles of depleted uranium bombs in different wars, NATO is now being sued. By these people for the use of uranium depleted bombs which cause cancer. Now, I mean, I'm not a proponent for chemical warfare or biological warfare of any sort. Now, this is kind of maybe something similar if it's going to sit there and cause cancer. I'm not really a fan of it, but it's something that happened all the way back in Yugoslavia in 1999, or before that. For using over 15 tons of depleted uranium. So using over 15 tons of depleted uranium that's going to cause cancer, there's going to be other things to go along with what has caused that cancer. And for them to sue NATO is disgusting, horrible, and something that is unnecessary. Is they used it as a means of war. You want me to pay for it after I already destroyed you? What in the world is going on here? Who's running this country? Who's doing what? Causing this turmoil? It doesn't make any sense. ID crisis. So basically, you're de facto babysitters. It seems that way. So, ID crisis. ID crisis. I hope you're still with me. I mean, I look at these numbers, I watch these numbers, and I see what they do. And it amazes me some days. And other days, it's just like, it amazes me the other way around. Who's ever listening, ID crisis will be here. he will be here this weekend, this Saturday, at 10:30 Eastern, for a conversation with Koolfrogg. Should be a good time. Should be a good time. Am I missing something? Okay, so I know there's a little bit of silence. I'll try not to be as silent as I work myself through something here. So when I look through, who am I competing with? Joe Neiman? Of course I am. Of course I am. Not a big issue. Usually I'm a rewatch show. And I get that. I get that no matter what time it was, I'm a rewatch show. I'm just kind of looking at these numbers and I'm like, three people watching. I appreciate y'all for watching. Thank you for watching. If you haven't done so, smash that like button. Just a little bit of news to go along with, the ignorance of war is sometimes you have to pay for things later on. And it seems as though we're going to pay for it again for these ignorant bombings of Yugoslavia over and over again. Now they're going to go ahead and sue. Let's go ahead and remove that. So then, I'm waiting for these numbers to... I got booted. Well, that sucks. Glad you're still here. We're going to have a fun conversation, ID Crisis. I'm excited. Poland announces it will stop supplying weapons to Ukraine. Now, we're gonna take in some of this information from a couple of these different articles, and we're gonna put this together. Poland announces it will stop supplying weapons to Ukraine. Poland on Wednesday announced it will stop supplying the weapons in order to prioritize its own defense, according to local reports. You can't continue to give away everything and go unarmed. I think this was the plan all along, was to lure everybody in. And once everything was supposedly in Ukraine's use and nobody else has anything, that all of a sudden, who has all of the military might? It's kind of, there's something that's not right with this whole situation. So now Poland going ahead and doing this. So it says Ukraine. So how's this? It says Polish Prime Minister Morawiecki announced that Poland will no longer transfer weapons to Ukraine and will now arm themselves with the most modern weapons. They would now arm themselves. So, they're NATO. They're NATO. So if they're unable to already defend themselves, they should have never been able to defend somebody else. There's an awful lot of countries that are invested in Ukraine. And Ukraine's going to be a big loss for everybody except for those that were on that inside track. Hey, Rose. Good to see you, dear. I really see that there's going to be a big issue coming here down the road. So then I'm going to stop that screen. I'm going to go to this next one here because it's relevant to that. It's relevant to that. So Germany opposes Ukrainian proposal. So we're going to read through this one. We're going to get to what the proposal really is, what they're getting after, and how this affects most anyone within the UN, and why something that had something to do with NATO as well as when it comes down to it, when we think about all of this and we take all this information in, we can see where this is heading. Now we have to remember, and I'm going to go through some of it, where McCarthy disallowed Zelensky to use the House floor. He was allowed to do a speech today, but McCarthy squashed a House, them allowing him to use the House floor, where they would pack it with all the senators as well, and allow him to speak in front of everybody. He still spoke, but he was unable to do what he wanted to do. McCarthy had some big cojones today doing that. So this is: Germany does not agree with Ukrainian proposals to reform the UN Security Council, which includes stripping Russia of its veto power. Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has said, addressing the UN General Assembly in New York on Wednesday, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called for the creation of a mechanism that would allow Russia's veto power in the UN Security Council to be circumvented. Baerbock told Germany's ARD TV channel later that the same day that we don't support this, and I have made it clear to my Ukrainian partners time and again, it is not that we support everything that comes out of Ukraine from the government. They're Germany. Now, Poland's already said that they're going to cut off any type of military funding. They're not. They're done. They're done. We're not giving to you anymore. Nothing to be transferred through Poland. And now you got Germany saying, well, we've never really trusted everything that came out of Ukraine, as they may actually have a little bit of a recollection of where them Yahtzees had been run on, chased off from. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Where are they now? We have no clue. Azov Battalion. The minister was similarly skeptical to Zelensky's proposal to grant Germany permanent member status as Security Council. You know, Azov Battalion, that little group of people in Ukraine. If you don't know who the Azov Battalion is, it is somebody you should maybe potentially look up and take a good look at it. See what they're about. You might be surprised. Darius says Poland, deciding to arm its own military instead. Right, instead. Yeah, instead of handing out their military, they're going to keep it to themselves. Minister was similarly skeptical of Zelensky's proposal to grant Germany permanent member status in Security Council. She claimed that you can't say, okay, we're just changing the Security Council now. That would be a little naive. Just wanting to add them to the Security Council, okay, you're under under duress and to keep anybody from being able to stop helping you under several different treaties really kind of really makes you question a lot of things. In this speech on Wednesday, Zelensky accused Russia of violating international law and launching criminal and unprovoked aggression against Ukrainian territory and resources. The Ukrainian leader further called called for reforms that would allow for 193 members of the General Assembly to suspend and strip the veto power of 1 in 5 permanent Security Council members, which are the U.S., the UK, France, Russia, and China. Discussing the prospect of peace in the country, Zelensky insisted it could only be achieved if Moscow fully withdrew its troops from territory based in Ukraine's 1991 borders. Also, which it depends on who's drawing the border. Now, Ukraine in 1991 says that Crimea and all of Luhansk, Donetsk regions are theirs. In their opinion, some maps did not show it that way, and when you look at it, you really kind of, if you're basing off Ukraine's 1991 borders, all those are theirs, and Russia must stand back if they want it that way. Also speaking at UN General Assembly, Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov accused the West of failing to address the root causes of Ukraine conflict, added that Kyiv's backers appear to lack any arguments of the honest dialogue. Russian diplomats described the Ukrainian government as blatantly Yahtzee regime. Oh, really? You don't say. He noted that Kyiv was effectively stonewalled peace negotiations with Zelensky, signing a decree last October prohibiting talks with Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin. So, again, described Ukrainian government as blatantly Yahtzee regime. When you look at this and you see the larger picture of who's fighting who, since when is it that we just all of a sudden took sides with all of them Yahtzees? Oh, we just so happen to live with most of them. It's amazing. And who calls who a Yahtzee and who is actually a Yahtzee? Really kind of disturbing, as some would point fingers at me for having a Trump flag and saying that I would be, which in itself would be false, in my opinion. Is it any wonder that get along so well with Biden? Exactly. It makes you wonder what exactly is going on with these countries. So, kind of brought up McCarthy for a reason. Made it easy for me to bring him right back up into the conversation. McCarthy fails a second time to advance the bill funding Defense Department as Ukraine sows division. So McCarthy standing up for Republicans and saying, no, we're not doing this. This is not the bill that's good for us. Why? Because there's something in there that funds Zelensky. So it's with Zelensky and Capitol Hill. With Ukraine aid hanging in the balance, Kevin McCarthy has failed for a second time to advance a bill funding the Defense Department, which keeps the government on the path toward the shutdown on October 1st. This tweet by Mitch McConnell captures the essence of raging disagreement and debate. Now, if they go into shutdown, that means nobody can do any work until they pass a bill showing that they are okay with funding. They need to have these bills set out. It is up to the House to do so. They will shut it down and make sure that nobody gets to continue to do anything, which takes and makes all senators stop doing whatever it is. Most federal businesses shrink in size, which is it could be potentially okay. Because do we need 100 million people in bureaucracy? I mean, I don't really think we do. I think we can eliminate a couple of them and have more people working for them, maybe. Because they'd be making so much money, they'd be able to afford to pay somebody else to do some things, to be a secretary. I'm still waiting on the expose. All of the biolabs. Yeah, there's been a couple of them that have been out there. Nothing that's really gotten to the point where I just felt like, oh, I need to pay attention to that, and that's exactly what I need to do. Really, not something that they've liked to talk about. That's one of those where they're afraid to talk about it. With Zelensky on Capitol Hill and with Ukraine hanging in the balance, Kevin McCarthy has failed for the second time to advance a bill funding the Defense Department, which keeps the government on the path toward a shutdown on October 1st. This tweet by Mitch McConnell captures the essence of the raging disagreement and debate. So then here goes. It says, I was proud to welcome President Zelensky to the Capitol this morning and hear firsthand about the status of Ukraine's counter-offensive. American support for Ukraine is not charity. It's in our own direct interest, not least because degrading Russia helps to do to China. I probably didn't take a long enough pause where he put the pause in there. He probably took a longer pause than what I did. He probably had another something or other happen, causing him to pause out for longer than the short moments that I assume it to be. What we need is constitutional amendment to keep the riders in proposed legislation. The bureaucrats don't think they are unnecessary. They're unnecessary is the problem. Exactly. They're always going to see themselves as being something that needs to be there. There's too many of them. Kind of like Vivek Ramaswamy saying that he would actually eliminate about 75%. And I'm sure we'll hear more from him come this next week, come the 29th, I believe. McConnell is in his pooping moments. Yeah, those moments. Glitch McConnell. That's funny. That's funny. What up, Space Power Monkey, Darth Hideous, and Divinity Said? Good to see us. Glad all of you there. I appreciate it. Bump that thumbs up button for me. I'm going to go ahead and continue with this article. This is Politico has reported secret urgent cross-aisle talks as follows. Small groups of centrist Democrats are holding secret talks with several of McCarthy's close GOP allies about his last-ditch deal to fund the government, according to more than half a dozen people familiar with the discussions. McCarthy is on a standstill, is pretty much where it's going. He stopped with any of this. He's no clue, no care about how far this has gone. He wants to stop funding Ukraine. And I think for McCarthy to do such a thing, maybe, just maybe, could be that one thing that keeps him active, because he's been threatened several times now that he would be dethroned from his speakership by who? Oh, Matt Gaetz. I just called you Divinity. What should I? Divinity Dead? Would you prefer me to call you Divinity Dead? If that's something that you'd prefer, I guess we can work that out for you. Space Power Monkey, it's good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. A small group of conservative holdouts are harping on the key controversial issues Ukraine and U.S. border. Generally, the bipartisan group is focusing on two major ideas: a procedural maneuver to force a vote on the compromise spending plan, or somehow crafting a bill so popular that McCarthy can pass it and survive any challenge from the right. That bill would likely be a bipartisan short-term patch and some disaster money, Ukraine aid, and small-scale border policies, according to multiple people briefed on the talks who spoke on condition of anonymity. So then it says, order as House Republican leaders is once again struggling to win the procedural vote to allow the vote on a Pentagon funding bill. Typically, one of the easiest tasks in the GOP majority, Democrat members are again trolling them, calling for the vote to close. And you can see how close this is. 213, 214. It's really close. But there's people that are holding out that don't want to fund any of this anyway because they know exactly where it's going to go. It's going to go directly to Ukraine. And they don't want that. There's people that are finally deciding, they're like, no, enough is enough. We've funded them way too much over and over again. He's begging for money. For what reason? Is he using all of the military might that we've given him and he's still unable to control himself? He needs to maybe back off, give up the territories that Russia wants, and allow it to happen, as opposed to depleting all of our military might and money in a money laundering scheme to get what they want. Two people familiar with the conversation pointed out to New York Rep. Mike Lawler, who sits in one of the GOP's toughest battleground seats, is especially vocal in private meetings about threats to sign a discharge petition. Asked if he sees an increasing chance in centrists from both parties teaming up as the stalemate continues, Lawler said that, I would like to see the House Republican majority govern by passing a short-term patch that can start further talks with the Senate. But until that happens, he added, we need to keep the government funded and operational. And my only comment to my colleagues is if we want to govern, we need to do so expeditiously. The pushback from McCarthy is possible discharge petition comes after he repeatedly failed to get his own members behind a GOP only bill that would pair a stopgap funding patch with spending cuts and a Republican border bill. One Republican lawmaker involved in the talks acknowledged the bipartisan maneuvering could help pressure conservatives to stop resisting any solution. You know, when it comes down to it, kind of give it to McCarthy for what he's doing. It could be a good step to, stand back just a little bit and be like, no, we can't do this. We need to think about it, and we need to not pay for everybody else's stuff. On the other hand, the lawmaker added, if you're a nihilist and you want to burn the place down, you don't care. Which kind of seems that everybody else really kind of would and don't care if that would really be the ordeal to happen. As to keep on allowing and ushering in the likeness of this guy, of Vladimir Zelensky, and allowing him to continuously beg us for more money. I'm sick of giving more money to him. Came looking for PB. I haven't seen PB in a little bit. Hope she's doing okay. Have not seen her. I haven't seen her in a few weeks maybe. Due up to see her. Ukraine is so corrupt. Zelensky is probably selling the weapons he got from us for extra cash. I mean, I don't get how hard up he can really be with his ridiculously short army green unkept look. Like he's also stressed. I don't think that he's as stressed as they like to make it seem, as he's so freely willing and able to fly in and out from Ukraine to the United States or any other place that he wants to meet up with people with not an issue. They don't want him. They don't care about him. Give Russia the territory that is predominantly housed by Russians, and you might get somewhere. But I doubt that's ever going to happen. Ukraine's too ignorant to be like, oh, okay, you can have this territory and do as you wish. They want that territory because for them, it's a high influence area to make money, and the United States is too involved for them to back off. The Ukraine is so corrupt. Zelensky is probably selling his weapons. If not him, the people under him. The people under Zelensky. Alex Christopher doing his house begging impression is hilarious. I bet it's good. I bet it's good. I wouldn't put it past him. This kid bouncing off the balls. Didn't get enough exercise today or something. I don't know. Yes, thank you, Divinity. Don't forget to like the video. Hit that thumbs up button on there. YouTube side, I see you're finally coming around a little bit. What's going on? What's going on over there? Bedtime, everyone. See you Saturday night. ID Crisis. Appreciate you, brother. Thank you for being here. Hey, yes, and don't forget to check out ID Crisis. He will be with me Saturday night, 8:30 Mountain Standard Time, 10:30 Eastern. Should be a good time. And a members only stream. That's a YouTube only. YouTube only. If you're over on this Rumble side and you haven't subscribed over on the YouTube side, make sure we check out the YouTube side, because though they're the lesser, they're still relevant. They're still relevant. So then, literally says, I love this article. I laughed the first time I seen it. Kevin McCarthy tells Zelensky to pound sand, rejects request to speak to American people in Congress. He said absolutely not. Now, he kind of led to this earlier, so the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy was told Democrat President Joe Biden and Volodymyr Zelensky to pound sand and rejected his request by Ukraine president to speak to the American people in a joint session of Congress. McCarthy said Zelensky asked for a joint session. We just didn't have time. We're already given a joint session. So what we're doing for Zelensky is exactly the same thing we did for Prime Minister of UK and Prime Minister of Italy. He said the message we would give to Zelensky is sit down and walk through. Sit down and walk through the questions. What is the plan for victory? Where are we currently on the field? The accountability issues that a lot of members are questions. Just walk through that. According to Punchbowl News, funding for Zelensky is not guaranteed. Funding for Zelensky should cease to exist at all costs. Everybody that has anything or has any thought behind this, and you think that it's okay that the United States continues to fund a failing venture like Ukraine, the only people that are making out on this are these two over here, Joe Biden, Vladimir Zelensky. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They're doing this on purpose. Without them, this wouldn't be a thing. Joe Biden's the one that caused this, created this, started this war. It's Joe Biden that we need to pay attention to. Joe Biden, that's the potato in charge that needs to be held accountable for this bullshit that he's done. All right, let's pull that one. So then, Congress did head home for a long weekend without a deal, is what it comes down to. For them to not have a deal to be passed yet really puts it them on the edge of his seat, puts them on a cutting block. It's not good to be unfunded, to leave the government unfunded, which I'd rather just do anyway. But at the same time, because they're going to be still paid to be doing absolutely nothing if it goes into a stalemate, they need to pass something to keep government open. Hopefully that happens. Potentially that happens. There has to be something that they can pass, something that they can do to not go into a shutdown. For them to go into a shutdown would be potentially staggering for this economy that we're already not doing very well in. We can see it. We can see it. Joe Biden can't lie to us that much. So then, I just I got a few things off of that particular topic. We'll go somewhere else for a short bit. We'll talk about Joe Biden here in a moment again. These damn ads. Every single time. Thank you, Andy No, for doing what you do. Blocking my screen. Soros Foundation buys up 23 main newspapers. Soros Foundation, really? Oh, they didn't own enough. Now all of a sudden they own all of the main newspapers? 23 of them? The National Trust Local News bought all 5 of the Mistead main daily newspapers, including Portland Press and the Sun Journal, along with 17 weekly papers. So this is according to a semaphore, Soros' medical device billionaire philanthropist Hans-Graf Weiss played a central role in the purchase, giving millions to the National Trust of Local News. In July, it is announced that the National Trust and Local News bought all 5 of Mistead, Maine's daily newspapers, including the Portland Press Herald and the Sun Journal, as well as 17 weekly newspapers in partnership with the Maine Journalism Foundation. And spokesperson for Open Society told Semaphore that the foundation was one of National Trust's financial supporters, but denied funds from the foundation being specified for the purchase. The spokesperson told the Bangor Daily News that our grants to date have not included earmarks for specific projects. We have supported the National Trust for Local News since 2019, along with many other foundations. The values and contributions of long established a community-rooted newsroom. The papers, not now known under the group name Maine Trust and Local News, does not currently list any supporters, but group CEO Lisa DeSisto said that they have a plan and formal protocol to disclose donations. We don't know who purchased them. We have no clue who it is that purchased them. It just so happens to be that it's George Soros Foundation, Open Society, that goes ahead and purchases them out. Mm-hmm. Really kind of the society, Open Society, owns way too much. If we don't think that this isn't too much for one person to own, I think maybe we need to take a closer look at a couple other people, including maybe even looking at Bill Gates. Bill Gates. Let's take a closer look at Bill Gates. Let's take a closer look at Dr. Fauci. There's an awful lot of people that we're not paying attention to, I think. All right. So something that we don't really need to read into, I don't think. I think a lot of us kind of understand this one a little bit, but for them to go ahead and try rebuilding, U.S. rebuilding massive Cold War spy program to track Chinese submarines. They're going to plug everything back in, or they're going to try to anyway. This is the U.S. is reconstructing global maritime spy system that was laying dormant since the Cold War, aimed this time at tracking Chinese submarines Reuters reported, citing 3 people with knowledge of the plans. China was embarked in a massive upgrade into submarine fleet, producing nuclear-powered vessels that are quieter, more difficult to detect, and could more easily launch missiles at targets on land, according to the Pentagon's 2022 report of China's military power. That being said, if you think about it, and you take this into effect, that China's gone ahead, built up a larger, more quiet, more stealthy military submarine unit over and over again, and now all of a sudden we're afraid, and we're going to plug this old relic of a machine back in that's supposed to catch vibration and echo through the water, and if there's something moving through, you don't even know if it's even going to come close to picking up what these particular Chinese submarines are putting down. Good job. It's so wonderful to see how far this has gone. So then I said, we're going to talk about Joe Biden again. He does a few things today. Share the screen. Walks into a flag. Not a U.S. flag. A Brazil flag. He walks right into their flag. Walks up on stage. And then doesn't give a handshake to the president of Brazil. So he walks into the flag. Oops. I'll jog off, make it look like I'm still worthwhile. Worth a damn. No shake of his hand. It's just supposed to be a quick little glimpse. Hey, we get a picture of us shaking hands. I mean, I get it. Maybe we can call it something wrong with Joe Biden, and that Joe Biden decided to turn away and walk off stage. Or maybe we could look at the relationship between the United States and Brazil, as Brazil is, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, BRICS nation. When it comes down to it, for Joe to go ahead and snub the guy from Brazil, is he going too far? What's up, great liquor? Is he going too far? Is Is it something that we really should be paying attention a little bit closer to? Just maybe. I think it's a big deal. I think there's a big deal behind this particular snub. And China, conglomerate of BRICS, isn't going to be very, very cool about it. Sean D. Too far walking off stage. We need to burn something now. I mean, we could burn something now, but what's that gonna fix? Clumsy, what's up, dear? Good to see you. So then, as we're speaking of Joe Biden, walking into a flag and then snubbing a guy and not shaking his hand, where it might be necessary, produces more word salad. Biden repeats the same story word for word, minutes apart, raising curious concerns. During an event, Biden repeated statements about a 2017 Charlottesville riot and his decision to run for president in 2020, almost word for word and just minutes apart. The White House Pool report described it. POTUS began speaking at 4:09 p.m. His remarks were given in the well-appointed living room after an introduction to the event's host, Amy Goldman Fowler. About 24 people were in attendance. After briefly touting the economic record, POTUS reflected on the decision to seek the presidency. He told the story about the events of Charlottesville in 2017 as a reason for his campaign. A few minutes later, he told the story again, nearly word for word. Not only did Biden repeat himself, but the story about the Charlottesville riot, which he told twice, has been debunked. He continues to tell these debunked stories over and over again and refuses to tell the truth. Refuses to tell the truth about any of it. Just thinks that whatever he has to say, whatever is in his head, just must be the truth. And he's lied so many times, been caught up in plagiarisms and whatever else because he has no original thoughts of his own. Democrats often repeat the story by pushing the false claim that President Donald Trump describes neo-Yahtzee as very fine people, which is false. Nevertheless, Biden cited the false claim, which telling the story twice of why he decided to run for president. According to the White House transcript, Biden said, "But that along came in August 2017 in Charlottesville, Virginia. You remember those folks walking out in the fields, literally carrying torches with Yahtzee swastikas, holding them forward, singing the same vicious anti-Semitic bile, same exact bile that has sung in Germany in early 30s, and a young woman was killed. A young woman was killed. This is you may remember it. There was a consequential piece of business going on, and the former guy was asked, "What do you think would happen?" I'm trying to do my best to sound like him. I hope that I know that nobody can sound like Joe Biden, but you can get the stutter in it. It kind of helps it resonate just a little bit. You know who it is. He was the sitting president, and he said, I thought there was some very fine people on both sides, and I mean this sincerely from the bottom of my heart. That's what I decided. I was going to run again, but kept talking about his family before inexplicably repeating the same story. The transcript said he repeated the story yet one more time to the same people just after saying said story about Charlottesville, and that in particular potential lie, as it's been debunked by several different sources. Kind of disturbing in itself how he must have got stuck on repeat. Somebody bumped the cassette in the back of his head. It made him repeat his last thing that he had just said, or something. Something caused an issue. That's very sad and disturbing to see this old man being ushered out still. Charlemagne, what's up, dear? Good to see you. Front row, lol. Okay. Hmm. So then, one more thing about the illustrious Joe Biden. Now, says that he fears that he'll die. White House aides walking around on eggshells. An inquiry pertains to identification of individuals who were adversely affected by the Robert Hunter Biden report. Reportedly provided false information in the federal background check and document 2018, afterwards engaged in an unlawful acquisition of a firearm, where the individual potentially at risk from a man who, according to his own confession, was deeply immersed in drug dependency, comparable to that depicted in the literary work of Hunter S. Thompson, the author of Fear, Loathing in Las Vegas. Thompson himself might have advised caution in the son of the future president, stating, "Whoa, as a fellow enthusiast of mind-altering substances, my friend, it would be prudent for you to assess your situation before encountering detrimental consequences." Over the individuals in question, the law-abiding gun owners residing in America who are currently witnessing proponents of liberal ideologies seizing into this particular incident as a justification and advocate of the stricter regulations in firearms. Of course not. According to media, Joseph Robinette Biden, a devoted parent, extraordinary family man, and a devout Catholic, is the true sufferer. He's not a devout Catholic. He can't be. It's impossible. Devout Catholics don't believe in abortion. Stop it, Joe Biden. One source claimed that Biden has even lamented aloud that he might be dead before the son's case is resolved. In an NBC News report where he released in Saturday, the narrative is astounding and how little responsibility is placed on either the charged son or the father, who has a history of providing support. He just maybe even lamented aloud that he might be dead before his son's case is resolved. Huh, you don't say. The article opened about Biden citing the death of his son Bo is the reason he decided not to run for president in 2016. During the period between his During that period between the vice presidency and presidency, Joe Biden was often asked about this campaign he didn't run. In explaining why he passed on the White House bid in 2016, Biden would describe how the death of his eldest son, Beau, weighed heavily on him and the big family. No man or woman should announce for presidency out of the United States unless they can look the public in the eye and say, "I promise you, I'm giving 100% of my attention and dedication to the effort." Never mind, according to the New York Times, then President Barack Obama made it very evident in the 2016 election that, in his opinion, Hillary Clinton had his backing and that he would much prefer her over Biden. If you choose to disregard reality, the entire thing sounds better. That's the reason NBC stated people close to the president are increasingly worried about how the legal troubles of his remaining son Hunter could divide his attention at a time when he needs to be fully focused on what's expected to be a razor-close election. A distracted president, perhaps more prone to mistakes and missteps, is a political toll people close to Biden worry could hurt him in 2024, as his son faces at least one indictment and potentially trials for multiple jurisdictions stemming from misconduct during to the height of his drug addiction just 3 months ago. We keep on taking and whatever Hunter Biden's done and equating it to something that should be relevant to Joe Biden. Now, some of this, like the gun charge, the drug stuff, that's all him. That's all him. That's not daddy necessarily. That's not daddy necessarily when it comes down to it. I think the equation that we're all adding up is when we hear things like 10% for the big guy on some of those other things, that aren't really being looked at quite yet. Because we need to see what comes up in this tax evasion case to see what he was doing and what he did do with the money and everything else. Who got the money? Where did the money go? Why did it go to separate accounts? Why did it go to different accounts? And where the taxes were intended to be paid, and why he hasn't actually paid them yet. It's this. All this could be could have been avoided all the way back in 2017 or whatever it was. So I mean, I think that we're looking at this semi wrong. This is a case about Hunter Biden. This isn't about Joe Biden quite yet. This isn't the case that we're going to get Joe Biden on. And if he doesn't think that he's going to see the end of this himself, in his own words, saying that he doesn't see himself, he's potentially not going to be there, he won't make it, could be disturbing, could be very disturbing, because I think that's a key component to all this. And I think we need to know a lot more. So then, what do I got here? I get so much stuff. And I don't want to go through all of it, in detail. I think a lot of this is evident, easily understand. Biden's plan for ICE ID cards is illegal immigrants exposed to leak images. So here's a couple of leaked images, potential ICE docket cards, ID cards showing them who you are, took a picture of you, you took down your information, gave you the card, and now you're in the United States database, and knowing on who you are, what your name is, where you're from. You've given a number. You've been given a long number, as well as barcodes and anything else that's necessary to be identified. This kid. Democrat President Joe Biden's administration is planning on giving ICE ID cards to illegal immigrants. Leaked images have revealed new images obtained by Fox News show ID cards that will be given to illegal aliens by Biden's Immigration and Customs Enforcement, which is fine. It would spend the money. I've run a machine like this before that prints these type of things. It's not that difficult, so it's not that hard to, give identification cards to people. I think what we should be more concerned with is, now that they've been given a card, they've been identified, they've been given this ability to move about the United States freely. Is this something? Is this something that we, should take lightly? No. Did they tell the truth? Did they have a couple other forms of identification to go along with it? before getting one of these? Probably not. Probably not. If they had something there, and hopefully they showed it, but I doubt if you're coming through the southern border, you're coming through with a passport. I doubt it. I really doubt it. So many people. So many people. Okay. What's up, Debbie? Good to see you. Good to see you. Glad you're here. So then, kind of keep a move on here. It's awesome to have a wonderful, wonderful tadpole for a co-host tonight. That is the noises that you hear in the background. He is healthy. He is fine. He just likes to clear his throat. He thinks it's fun. I really don't get it. It's just something that he likes to do. So you'll hear him go, it's just what he does. It's what he does. And we love him for it. We love him for it. So then, some gun crime provisions that have actually been going around, and it looks like Biden SCOTUS picked sides with all justices striking down gun crime provision. It says the Biden administration just got strung with yet another unanimous ruling in the Supreme Court, which of course included a nominee, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson. In a 9-0 ruling, the Supreme Court found on Friday that some individuals convicted in gun crimes may receive reduced prison sentences. In those cases, gun-related offenses can be served concurrently. Concurrently is usually best for the criminal, because any time that's there or whatever, so or run together, as opposed to running any other way and running after you're done with your first sentence. So if you get 220 or 230-year sentences, and certain places, most places now, because this would be a federal law, would be concurrent, you get a charge. All the other ones are set alongside. Congress could certainly have designed the penalty scheme at issue were differently, but Congress did not do any of these things, and we must implement the design Congress chose. Awesome for Ketanji Brown Jackson, Miss I can't tell you what a female is or what a woman is, because she's not a biologist. She doesn't know what a woman is because she's not a biologist. That doesn't tell you enough. But what the type of person she really is, for to go along with this and make this be a ruling is amazing. That's amazing to see that many people, to have her go along with this, is the reason that the article even exists. It says the report added that the case involves two subsections of 18 U.S.C. 924 subsection C outlines offenses and penalties and states that no term of imprisonment imposed on a person under the subsection shall run concurrently with any other term of imprisonment imposed by the person, such as added in recently outlines the offenses and corresponding penalties. It does not include language about forbidding concurrent sentences. They could give you concurrent if they wanted to. District courts typically possess discretion in determining whether prison sentences should run concurrently or consecutively. However, specific laws may prohibit the imposition of concurrent sentences in certain circumstances. An outlet noted further. Efrain Laura, the individual who initiated the case, was found guilty of aiding and abetting any individual involved in drug trafficking or violent crime while carrying or using a firearm. Laura was also convicted of conspiracy to distribute drugs. Laura, along with 3 accomplices, engaged in cocaine trafficking and committed murder in the rival drug dealer in 2002 in New York City, stemming from a territorial dispute. U.S. District Judge Paul Gebhardt, who President George W. Bush appointed, sentenced Laura based on the law and prohibits concurrent sentences from offenses that involve one of the crimes in which Laura was convicted. Laura received 25 years prison term for the conspiracy charge, followed by an additional 5 years for the other crime. An appeals court later upheld the decision. Laura also argued that her sentences should have been concurrent, noting that the law cited by the judge didn't cover the aiding and abetting offenses. Federal prosecutors agreed and argued that the appeal that the lower court got it right and that the Supreme Court had no need to review the case. But all 9 justices sided with Laura. Yay! Yeah, that's I think that's a big win for a lot of people. I think that's a big win for a lot of people, and that could take somebody from thinking that they're going to spend the rest of their lives in prison to thinking they have maybe a potential of getting out in the future and becoming a citizen again. Now, it's everybody has their own opinions when it comes down to it. So, it's kind of I like it that she's gone to that point of siding with everybody else when it comes to this type of ordeal. It's nice to see things work out sometimes. So then we're gonna you're gonna love me for this. I know you will. I know you just appreciate Nancy Pelosi all so much. I believe that we have. Yes, we do. We have Nancy Pelosi joining us. As well as this guy who's going to ask some questions over
in the House of Representatives. She is Speaker Emerita and California Congresswoman Nancy Pelosi, and she joins me live. Speaker Pelosi, thank you very much for coming back to the Sunday Show.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. First things first, before we talk about your run for re-election, the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, on Meet the Press, says this, and I'm quoting you directly, him directly. Nancy Pelosi is responsible for January 6th. He is blaming you for the attack on the Capitol that he instigated. Your response?
Well, the former occupant of the White House has always been about projection. He knows he's responsible for that, so he projects it onto others. His instigation of an...
I mean, really, when it comes down to it, we can believe, how we wish, but, to go along with, the way it's intended to be, is if we all understand that Joe Biden's the most legitimate president ever with the most votes. He is our president of the United States. There's no doubt about that. Regardless to what Nancy Pelosi or anybody else has to say. It's simply that. And whether we believe that there was something that initiated J6 or there wasn't, I think is really what's in question. And I think there's a lot of people that are confused on the issue that you kind of have to be one way or the other. There's no gray areas of thinking, well, it could have been a couple of them, but the rest of them definitely didn't do it. Or it was absolutely everybody. Or there was an awful lot of feds that were there. I think there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to kind of agree that there's an awful lot of feds that were there.
Insurrection, an assault on our Constitution the day we were supposed to approve and we did, the
Sorry, Nancy. You're dancing my line way too much. You're trying to spread, information as it be, that I have no clue if you're really saying what you should be saying, or what you or you think that is okay. How many people died violently during J6? Unnamed. Oh, unarmed. Unarmed. Yes. Rest in peace, Ashley Babbitt. Yes.
work of the Electoral College, the result of the Electoral College, the assault on the Capitol building, the assault on the Constitution, the assault on our democracy. Shame on him. However, he always projects. Now, he used to say, well, she turned down my troops. No, we begged him. Chuck Schumer and I begged him to send the troops again and again. His Secretary of the Army, McCarthy, another McCarthy, and acting Secretary of Defense just made it, oh, there are too many obstacles. It's bureaucratic. It's this. We can't do it. They know their exposure, so they project.
And so he says also in that interview, Nancy Pelosi turned down 10,000 soldiers.
Yeah, well, these Trumpites were attacking the
these Trumpites would not care about what I didn't do or what I tried to do.
The tab is plugged in.
Okay. Let's look at it a little different. Closed door. Closed door.
Come with me.
All right. I gotta give you a few moments. I'll be right back. Please stay with me. Sorry about that. It happens sometimes. You get involved with children. Having them, raising them, it's a long, tedious, tasking job for sure, but ever so rewarding. As you see them grow, they're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful human beings. We should protect them. So, that being said, back to Nancy Pelosi.
Capitol, fighting the police, threatening my life and the life of the vice president. We're turning down the troops.
This isn't me.
Why there's a sickness here. There has to be an intervention, and that intervention has to be the election, which we have to win. And that's one of the reasons I'm running again to fight for our democracy, which is at stake if he's on the ballot.
Well, let's talk about.
It's at stake. She can project. She can see into the future. She can see herself, what is to come, and she sees it, and she's going to run with it. So Jerry Lass, good to see you, folks. Not having a good night, stress and shit. Don't smoke. Got a bullshit restraining order. Oh, Jerry, take care of yourself. Stay strong for sure. Please, evil wench, shut your lying mouth. Can't fucking stand her. I got you. She's
about why I was going to ask you, why are you running again? Is it a feeling of responsibility that you can't step away now because democracy is at stake?
Well, two things. First of all, for 20 years, my district, my people of San Francisco have given me the latitude, 20 years, to be speaker or leader. That meant for 20 years, every week, every day, I was responsible for what happened on the floor in terms of developing legislation or countering what they were doing. Every day it was about the re-elections, it was about the policy, the politics, and the aspirations of our members, meeting the needs of the American people. And so now we have some challenges in our district, which we will deal with. But I can't say now that
you're just going to deal with them? You're gonna just deal with them. You're just gonna buy your way through. Like it's okay for you to continue to continue with your reign of tyranny as Speaker of the House, the one with the largest broom. I have a hard time believing that California can't vote her out or continues to vote for her over and over again for the last 20 years. And now she doesn't want to stop. She wants to prove something. She wants to prove something because she said that she's 83. She's older than Joe Biden. She's older than Joe Biden. So she can continue to push that, age isn't an issue and that everybody's okay, regardless to how senile they have the tendency to become.
Glory days are not there. I'm leaving. There was no honor that my members could have given me, whether it was speaker, leader, or whip, that matches the thrill I get when I go onto the floor and say I speak for the people of San Francisco.
When you mentioned the challenges that the people of San Francisco face, what are you talking about?
Right then, I was just talking about something that we have around the country, the issue of fentanyl. It is a deadly challenge to the safety of people. It brings violence with it when people sell it. And so we're engaged in something with the Department of Defense called the Operation Overdrive to address that. And it's a small part of the city, but the matter of blocks, but the press decides that they're going to have a field day talking about San Francisco. We have to recover from COVID in terms of people working from home, but at the same time, we have to deal with this issue in a way that could be a model for the country.
Let me try to talk about two topics in one question. 2024 and the president's reelection effort, and this impeachment inquiry that Speaker McCarthy has called for. Your reaction to this inquiry, which from all we've seen, there's no evidence that there's any wrongdoing or connection between the president and
if I just
no
may,
evidence
before we go to that,
whatsoever.
because I'm not sure what the time will
We
be.
all know
Let
better.
me just say that as we are
We
here,
all know
we have
better.
workers on strike in a number of industries in our country. But right now, you said you were going to have the Sean Frame,
UAW president,
UAW
yes.
president. This is really something so important to all of us in the country. These workers, now just think of this. The CEOs of these companies make probably in 1 month what these workers make in a lifetime. That's just unjust. Years ago,
It's just unjust. It's unjust how much she goes ahead and she lets her husband know about certain things to go ahead and invest in ahead of time. We don't talk about insider trading, though. We don't talk about that. We draw a blind eye to it because both sides do it. Catherine 2929, good to see us. Says no evidence. My ass. I'm with you on that one. There's absolutely nothing. But a lot of things Republicans try to force on people, I don't like either. I'm with you on that. I'll go Hagen, because he says I'm a liberal in the true sense of the word. Love liberty, and I never agreed with the dumbs on guns and a few other things. There's always something that changes where you are on the political spectrum, regardless to what you think or how you feel. A lot of us aren't that far off. There's like maybe one or two things that we think of differently. A lot of other things we think about the same. I love how the sidestep the homeless problem, blaming fentanyl and the others in the military response. Yep. They don't care about the large, huge amount of immigrants. What's up, Grimsbar? They don't care about all that. None of that is anything to worry about. Ford strike immigrants coming in. This is about being scabs. You got a point. Good to see you, brother. I want governments out of people's lives pretty much completely. I hear you or read you. You read me. Do you really seriously read me, Rose? That's cool. That's cool.
ago it was 20 times. Now it's 10 times that, over 200 times as much for the CEO as it is for the worker. Those profits that they say they are rewarding would not happen without the workers. So let us pray that they will make some progress on this, respectful of the workers. Sherrod Brown says it's over 300 times as much. But whatever it is, 1 month pay for the CEO, a lifetime paid to the workers. Just not fair. So getting back to this, impeachment is deadly serious. This is a remedy that our founders put in the Constitution for a rogue official. They could foresee we would have a rogue president of the United States.
So a rogue official, a rogue president of the United States, as she puts it, would be, where you would, potentially hang your hat to say, that's enough. That's enough for me to go ahead and go for impeachment. Now, you have to remember, J6 didn't happen until after he was already figured to not be elected. think most people understood that that's what they were going into, because that's what media was telling us. Media was continuously telling us, and that's who tells us everything is media. It's always about media. Excuse me. On Justin Pelosi's inside trading. Pray, Pelosi, please. Right? Exactly. Pelosi, she's a pile of work. Thank
They
you.
couldn't foresee that we'd have
Thank
a
you,
rogue
Rose.
president and a rogue Senate, rogue Congress. But nonetheless, for them to use this in the frivolous way that they are is really a disservice to our country, to our Constitution. They have they've had months, almost this whole year, the whole time, 9 months, going on 9 months of investigations. The rest they've come up with nothing. When we engaged in impeaching the president, because we had no choice, we were accusing him of high crimes and misdemeanors, which were evident, and even Republican senators voted for in terms
of that didn't pass through the Senate. That didn't pass through the Senate. Neither one of them did.
of Ukraine and in terms of the assault on the Capitol. But this is almost...
What? Hold on. What did you just say to me? I think she said a few things a little bit extra.
misdemeanors, which were evident, and even Republican senators voted for in terms of Ukraine and in terms of the assault on the Capitol. But this is almost silly, except that it's so serious.
Is it something that the Biden White House should worry about politically?
Well, I think you always have to. The time is our most important commodity. It's finite. And doing this is taking away from meeting the needs of the American people. We have a serious budget debate coming up. Imagine the insensitivity of the Republicans in the House to the child poverty rate in our country. Under President Biden, the Biden child tax credit cut child poverty in half. Because of their refusal to renew it and continue it, child poverty has more than increased. It's gone from 5.6 to 10 point something, or maybe it's up to 12 by now, certain communities. So this is sinful. Again, it's not about values. Our budget should be a statement of our values. And what is important to us as a nation should be reflected there. Our Constitution is what we take an oath to protect and defend. And in both cases, they're being frivolous.
We're going to talk about the budget and looming federal shutdown when we come back after this break.
Of course, I had myself muted. No, we're not going to come back. We're not going to listen to anything else from this lady. This lady can be thrown against the wall and sidelined for all I care. I'm really sick of her being the person that gets to decide how things run. Her being put up as Speaker of the House was too much. She should have never been. And as we look at it, we see her continues to be being pushed back out there like everything's okay. And I think there's only one reason. The only one reason that there is so that because she's 83, she's older than Joe Biden. Because she's older than Joe Biden, shows that it's okay for her to run for these seats because it's okay for him to run for these seats then. Because she's older. So we need to continue to push for this. Even though he thinks he's no longer going to be around, he's starting to talk like he's not going to be around much longer or whatever. It could be. It usually speaks a lot when you hear them talking about themselves not going to be around for a while. Usually, when you start hearing that, you know that they know that there's something wrong. She's losing it, jumping from talking to talking point, like a grasshopper being chased by a robin. Yes, Jaya, yes. I think she's using her hand to remember to grab her key words and throw them in once in a while. Yes, her magic cauldron of words. Her magic cauldron of words. She goes and she spins them around and projects them certain ways and makes them come back at her and speak volumes of nonsense and vitriol bullshit. It is what it is. I thought I wouldn't have to hear from her again after the stop being speaker. No, because she's gonna try pushing to be speaker again. Watch. She'll pull that card that because she's been around for so long that she should be. Yes, her cauldron. Yep. Thank you, Nancy Pelosi. We thought you were dead. We thought you were gone. We thought you were no longer going to be somebody to pay attention to. But guess what? We have to pay attention to her for much longer, as she's going to assume running for that seat for sure. Like videos. I like videos of Donald Trump. Videos of Donald Trump that don't get you in trouble, unless you listen to the music in the background. We're going to do our best. We're going to do our best to mute the volume so you can't hear. You don't need to hear anyway. He was in Iowa, and he went ahead and he was handing out pizzas. So you can see him, doing just that, handing out pizzas, right? So then, as he's handing out pizzas and he's doing things, he decides that he's going to go sign something. He's going to go sign something. And where's my volume? I don't want to play the music, but went ahead introduces to a couple people. Now I want to watch myself with the music, so then I think it was somewhere right there. A couple people go ahead and reach in to help, so that way he can go ahead and sign his shirt. I signed his shirt. God bless the USA for sure. I got to sign his shirt. It was a good day. It was a good day here in Iowa. I really appreciate everybody allowing me to go ahead and reach in and grab their shirts and sign them. Free pizza for everybody. I mean, it takes it. It's both sides of the story. You really seriously have to look at everything everybody's doing. You can't just pick on one person or the other. And Donald Trump deserves to be picked on for that, for going ahead, reaching in, trying to grab a shirt like he's going to go ahead and he's just grabbing your shirt. It's okay. I'm signing it. I'm signing it, and it's slippery, and it's moving around too much. Good job, Donald Trump. Good job. You're fired. You fired. I mean, I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this particular. Here, I'm going to flash this up on the screen. We're gonna. I know we're gonna hear a lot more about this. Doing this any justice right now is probably going to do very little, nothing. Discredited J6 witness Cassidy Hutchinson. This lady here that did all those meetings and all those hearings, claims Giuliani groped her. She's claiming Giuliani groped her. Like I said, this isn't going to do us any justice today to go through any of this, to be like, oh my God, this, that, and the other, and try speculating on anything, and try getting anything more out of this particular instance. I believe that this is something that's more than necessary and disgusting in itself. We've seen it over and over again. Be more Me Tooers out and about, trying to Me Too more and more people to get them to bend to their will. Thought Giuliani had better taste than that. His hair dye has better taste than that. But I really, really seriously think that this is a lie. Cassidy Hutchinson is a paid liar. That's what she does. We've seen her in action. And I don't see us getting past that. I really don't. Cassidy Hutchinson, a former Trump White House aide, claims in a new book that Rudy Giuliani groped her backstage at a rally that preceded the former president's support insurrection at the U.S. Capitol in J6. Quotes from the book, which responded by The Guardian, are confirmed by CNN. Hutchinson, an assistant to Trump Chief of Staff Mark Meadows, writes that Giuliani puts his hands under my blazer, then my skirt. Giuliani political advisor Ted Goldman told the statement she called Hutchinson's claims a disgusting lie. That's as much as you get right now. That's as much as you get right now. You don't get anything more than that. This is all speculation right now. It's more Me Tooing. It's more, I don't know what else to do with my life. I think I may have run my course. Midlife crisis. What do I do next? And that's what we're seeing. So, really, we're going to see a lot more of this particular story. We're going to see a lot more. This is just the beginning. Just the beginning of all that. So then, we still have massive issues at the border. We've had massive issues at the border for a long time. So there's one guy that tried to build a wonderful wall, but they went against it. They went against it as much as they possibly could. Eventually, some Arizona, I believe, went ahead and sold their sections of the wall for significantly less money than what it cost them to leave it sit there, and eventually put it up the way it was intended. But, whatever. People can walk around walls now. Rose says, have to leave. Take care, everyone. Love you, Rose. Thank you. Have a good night. Smash that like button on your way out if you can. That'd be great. I do appreciate y'all. Eagle Pass taxes. According to source within U.S. Customs and Border Protection Department of Homeland Security, has no cohesive enforcement strategy to address the border incursion of more than 2,500 migrants into one Texas border town on Wednesday. The source, not authorized to speak to the media, told Breitbart Texas every Border Patrol station in the region is beyond capacity. The only instructions received from the DHS is to quickly process and release the mostly Venezuelan migrants who made landfall in Eagle Pass and non-government shelters. Yeah, mostly Venezuelan. Mostly Venezuelan. I don't believe that's true. As we have so many immigrants coming into this country from over 150 different countries, that when it comes down to it, I would like to disagree. Breitbart Texas posted at Padres Negros, Coahuila, Mexico, on Wednesday morning and watched as more than 2,500 migrants moved through the city streets headed to the Rio Grande to begin the border crossing. Padres Negros is the city directly across the border from Eagle Pass, Texas, a city of 30,000 residents. Some migrants carried children on their shoulders and a few belongings they possessed while they moved to surrender to federal and state authorities waiting in Eagle Pass. Many were single adults. Single adult migrants. Keep single adult migrants in your head for a short moment while I guess I have to get up for just a few seconds, maybe. All right. Sorry about that. Sometimes, difficulties they be, you work around with them and you make them, whatever needs to happen. Uh, so, uh, so many people making their way through Eagle Pass, Texas in mass amounts, in large droves, being handed IDs, being handed the right to do whatever they wish here in the United States. To, um, you know, so many of them getting away, not being counted, not being processed in any way, shape, or form, to let us know who they are, why they're here, what their reason is for being here. Having people uh, the gentleman in Pennsylvania, uh, the doing stuff like that is unnecessary and sometimes goes too far. Sometimes it goes too far, and sometimes it's something that needs to be um, paid attention to. Like there's zero attention being paid to this particular situation. And we don't care. We don't care. We're supposed to not care. We're supposed to think that it's okay for these droves and droves of people to be dumped across their borders. So then, as one calls it one thing, another will call it another. Sometimes you get a couple sites that will call it something similar, as opposed to being off kilter. So here now you got Governor Abbott declares the invasion at the border, says we are building a border wall. Oh, you are? Really? Texas Governor Greg Abbott has declared an invasion of the southern border because of the surge of illegal immigration, while blaming President Joe Biden's policies for an influx of ordering National Guard and local law enforcement to help deal with the crises. I officially declared an invasion of our border because of Biden's policies. And we deployed the Texas National Guard, DPS, local law enforcement. We are building a border wall, razor wire, and marine barriers. 2021, Mr. Abbott promised to build a wall along its border in Mexico as part of a slew of border security initiatives, including a $1 billion allocation for border security in the state budget. During the news conference on June 10th, 2021, he said that the border wall and other initiatives, including increasing arrest of illegal border crossers, would reduce the flow of illegal immigrants into Texas. Mr. Abbott has since provided several updates in the border wall effort, including a September 15th statement and September 12th post on X, which featured video showing a barrier being lifted into place by a crane in Del Rio sector. So, as far as that goes, the potentiality of them building a wall is great. Okay, let's do that. Let's do what's necessary to slow this down. There's too many people coming through that are being unaccounted for. That's the issue. I don't care if people come here. They want to come here, great. Let's go. More people want to work. The economies can flourish with more and more people. As long as we're okay with everybody that's there. They have to be abiding by our laws and rules and regulations of the United States of America. And there's certain things that they should know. They should not be allowed to just go ahead and be a willy-nilly worker as it be. I disagree with it. You should become a citizen and have necessary documentation to be able to do such a thing. We're going to move ourselves into the news section of the night. I told you we weren't going to be here for a long night. It should be a decent night. Hopefully, we can be done here shortly-ish. We'll see. Top 3 things right off the bat. Rupert Murdoch is stepping down, hands Fox News to his son, Lakeland. So Lakeland Murdoch now runs Fox News. Rupert Murdoch is no longer. Rupert Murdoch has stepped down. Rupert Murdoch is an old blubbering piece of work in himself anyway, and maybe it might be a good thing for the future of this company that he created, Fox. Australian-born media titan Rupert Murdoch is stepping down from chairman of the board of both Fox Corp and News Corp, and the company said on Thursday the move will be official in November. CNBC reporters thus bringing to an end of a media journey that began in 1952 when Murdoch took over the running of the News, a small Adelaide newspaper in South Australia, owned by his late father, Sir Keith Murdoch. One of Australia's most distinguished newspapermen, Murdoch 92, will be appointed chairman emeritus of each company and a network of media assets spread across 4 continents. Lakeland Murdoch, one of the sons, will become sole chairman of the News Corp and will continue as Fox Corp's executive chair and CEO. The Murdoch family's net worth is currently estimated at about $17.4 billion, according to Forbes magazine. A bunch of really rich people here. For Rupert Murdoch to step down after so many years of being this giant of a man that he really kind of is. There's a lot of people that watch a lot of things that are done under his tutelage. I guess we'll see what happens. See how woke his son is. We'll see if he doesn't tank the company or if he'll help. We'll see. We'll find out. So then, establishment Republican Kenneth Buck, who aided Democrats in Congress, seeks CNN gig. Why I put it under news and not politics is just that. It's kind of an interesting ordeal that he's going to step down as congressman, and he's going to a Republican is going to attempt a role at CNN, where CNN is really trying to go. Are they trying to be the paid opposition, trying to put certain good people in play, some good speakers, for them to get this particular person of Ken Buck? He's actually a pretty good speaker. I wouldn't put it past him as being a good speaker. Hopefully he's just as good of a storyteller as he is take it from somebody that's that knows a little bit about not being very good at certain things and doing certain jobs. Sometimes life, throws you lemons and you still have a problem making the lemonade. Give me one more moment. It's just going to be one of them goddamn nights. It's just going to be one of them nights. Sorry, things happen. Things happen. And I appreciate y'all that have been here, that have come through here, that have hit this like button, that have shared this out to those places that you wish to share things. I really do appreciate it. I know that sometimes some nights just don't work out the way you wish them to, and I'm about right. I'm going to try finishing this out here real quick. So then we got, Ken Buck moving himself over to CNN, is no longer being a representative, kind of opens up that seat. So we'll be paying attention to him, and not just Lauren Boebert. We'll be paying attention to the seat come up this election cycle. If this is the case, that this is what he's doing. It sounds that it is the case. He will be part of CNN, and he would actually take a back seat to whatever he's already done, in my opinion. I find it kind of interesting that he would go this route. It's just bold move, Cotton. Really, hope the best for him, and that it works out. But I don't see that being the case whatsoever. In my opinion, just my opinion. So then, as things change, things move, things do things. Project Veritas ceases operations, lays off all remaining journalists. They have 0 journalists left. That means they no longer cease to exist. They're gone. They're done. They're no longer. Project Veritas, being a interesting conglomerate of its own, to implode on itself is kind of fun to see. Thank you for saying this. It's not a big deal. It still kind of is. It still kind of is. Trying to make something here. Trying to get an audience, gather an audience, gather people that enjoy being here on a regular basis, to talk to me and each other. And that's gone and run into enough roadblocks. It's time for it to move itself on. Yeah, they sure showed O'Keefe. Yeah, for sure. For what it is, the O'Keefe Media Group's OMG, it really has made me laugh as this has progressed. Because now who's he paying? Because wasn't he being sued? Oh, wait, now who's he paying? He's paying nobody. Oh, never mind. He's no longer paying a dime for a dang thing. There's 0 things to pay for. It's kind of okay. 7 months after James O'Keefe announced that he'd been ousted from Project Veritas, the company that he founded in 2010 has imploded. Former Veritas employee, investigative reporter Bobby Hart announced that Project Veritas has suspended all operations effective immediately, which the Post-Millennial later confirmed. Breaking, Project Veritas suspends all operations effective immediately, Hart wrote on Wednesday. CEO at Hanish M. Giles, Jen Kayak, and Human Resources cite financial ruin as reason for additional layoffs in 9/20/2023, leaving merely a handful of employees left. All investigations halted as of today. All done. Finished, finito, no longer goodbye. Just is something that's no longer going to be. It's kind of exciting to see. Maybe. I know that they did do a few good things. Oh, wait, that was all just James O'Keefe. was all James O'Keefe. Good thing they succeeded at absolutely nothing. So news. This is kind of disturbing, but I think it was something. There was something in it when I was reading this earlier that made me feel that I needed to share this. So this is a family of 4 who fatally shot in a sleepy Illinois town. Now their suspected killer is dead. Oh, really? The suspected killer just so happens to be dead. A quiet community just outside Chicago was turned upside down when a couple, their 2 young sons, 3 dogs, were found shot dead inside their home. Police were called with a welfare check of the home of Romeoville, Illinois, on Sunday morning. Officers arrived to find the bodies of Alberto Roland, 38, Zoridia, 32, 2 boys aged 7 and 10, and their dogs. Investigators determined that the victims died by homicide. The alleged killer and the motive of the horror attack remained a mystery until Wednesday, when police revealed that a car linked to a person of interest had been spotted by a license plate reader in Catoosa, Oklahoma. Police attempted to pull the car over, but after a brief chase, the vehicle crashed and burst into flames. The suspect, Nathaniel Huey Jr., was then found inside dead from a gunshot wound. A woman in the passenger seat was also shot and taken to hospital in critical condition. Later identified as Emeralda Palomo, the woman passed away from her injuries. Here's everything you may know about Roland Bertrami family case. Not a murder-suicide. Not a murder-suicide. No, okay. How is it not? Romeoville police have dispatched on Sunday to check out the Roland Bertrami family after relatives shared concern over one of the parents didn't turn up for work that day. In a press conference on Monday, police said the family members called several times throughout the day to check on the adult, but there was no response. Just before 9 p.m. Sunday, officers carried out a welfare check at the family's home in the residential 500 block of Concord Avenue. The family of 4 were found dead in gunshot wounds along with their 3 dogs. Authorities believe that the murders took place between 9 p.m. and 5 a.m. Sunday. We do not believe the offender is among the victims, but it's not a murder-suicide, Deputy Chief Burns said at the time. Then the suspects in the fire crash. It says 2 suspects were sought by police for the murders of the family of 4. Nathaniel Huey Jr., 31, of Stimwood, Illinois, and Emeralda Palomo, 50, little kind of an age difference there, maybe son and mom, were identified as persons of interest early in the slayings. When officers managed to locate and tried to stop the vehicle linked to Huey in Oklahoma, it sped away, crashed, caught on fire. Officers at the scene reported they heard 2 noises believed to be gunshots. Officers found the man fatally shot and deceased in the driver's seat. The woman was in the passenger seat, was taken to the hospital in critical condition and later pronounced dead. Police are yet to confirm the identity of the woman who is described as a person of interest in the case. John Paul Ivick, the attorney representing the family, identified the woman as Emeralda Palomo on ABC News. Neighbors have said Palomo and Huey lived in the Streamwood together for about the past 6 years. Palomo's daughter, Christina Espinoza, 25, has spoken out to say that Huey was a very dangerous man. He's a very dangerous man. Okay, well, he just killed a family of 4, went on a wild goose chase, crashed and likely shot himself because he couldn't deal with the own consequences of his ignorance. Following Wednesday's update, Deputy Chief Chief Byrne did not say that the relationship was between Huey and the family, but said evidence has shown as nexus between our suspect and the victims, as well as possible motive. Palomo's daughter has since spoken up and said Huey was a very dangerous man and huge manipulator. As reported on NBC News, Christina Espinosa, 25, said when she first met Huey, he wasn't too bad of a guy, but a few months ago, something switched. A few months ago, something switched. Something switched. Most likely, he's using some kind of a drug or something that caused that switch. Something that you weren't doing anymore? Were you not doing something that he was expecting you to do, and you just kind of started sloughing off? Because sometimes that can be a switch to just saying. She added, he is shutting all of us out, including my mom, and now this. He started becoming suspicious, keeping to himself, staying in the garage. He started not being himself, pushing us all away, even my mom. Attorney John Paul Ivick told ABC7 that although Palomo was identified as a person of interest, she's a victim just like the Romeoville family's a victim. Their kids were the sweetest, most innocent angels. The loss of Roland Bartolome family has shocked many friends and family members. The Bartolome's sister, Brianna, stepping forward and sharing her heartache with the community. I want to know what happened to my nephews, my sister, her husband, and why Bartolome's sister, Brianna, wrote a heartbreaking Facebook post. In the description of GoFundMe, Brianna wrote, this fundraiser has been created to aim to help the Roland Bartolome family with funeral expenses, as well as creating awareness to ongoing cases. So anything over and above would be, hopefully helped somebody. Brianna said her sister and brother-in-law would just brought the first home together and described the children as the sweetest, most innocent angels who could hug your worries away. The world is going to be such a dimmer place without them. She has pleaded with anyone with the information on the killings to contact police. Cute little family. That's too bad, too sad that some asshole had to ruin such a good thing. It's horrible, and hopefully, whoever was in this vehicle that was assumed to be them is actually them, and not some other person that they traded a car with or something. The post was met with comments and community sharing the condolences. We know her and your parents from church. We are so saddened by the horrible news. Prayers for you all. My thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Neighbors are also grappling with the death of the family. Lynn Phillips lives with one door down from the home, told Chicago Sun-Times. I've been crying on and off all day. It's a very sad thing to know somebody, know a family that's as sweet as it could be, and to see somebody ignorantly remove their lives to potentially go ahead and get away with this in a fiery accident. I don't believe the fiery accident was enough. He deserved more. Jerk. If that's the case, if that's indeed the case, that's who it was that was in the stolen car. What did you get out of this? Absolutely nothing. It's so sad and disturbing over and over again how people think that this is going to be a fix for something, and it fixes absolutely nothing. It fixes zero things whatsoever. And it's so sad. So sad. All right. So I laugh because there's a few things. This is what we know about a Marine Corps F-35 crash, backyard ejection, and what went wrong. A crash of F-35B Joint Strike Fighter aircraft in South Carolina over the weekend has raised numerous questions about what prompted a pilot to eject and how $100 million warplane was able to keep flying pilotlessly for 60 miles before crashing. Here's what is known about the modern warplane in the latest incident. U.S. Marine Corps pilot was flying a single-seat F-35B fighter jet on Sunday when the pilot experienced a malfunction and was forced to eject. A Marine Corps official who's not authorized to speak publicly said on condition of anonymity, the aircraft was only at an altitude of 1,000 feet and only about a mile north of Charleston International Airport and a populated area that led the pilot to parachute into a residential backyard. The Marine Corps variant of F-35 is different from the Air Force and Navy versions in that it take off and land like a helicopter, which allows it to operate on amphibious assault ships. But it also different in its only 1 in 3 variants that has an auto eject function on the eject seat, according to seat manufacturer Martin Baker, that has raised questions as to whether the malfunction the pilot experienced was the seat itself. The Air Force and Navy version, the pilot was has to initiate the ejection. Dan Gracer, the former Marine Corps captain and senior defense policy fellow in project and government oversight, but the Marine version auto eject is intended to better protect the pilot in case something goes wrong with the aircraft when it's in a hover mode. Was that function triggered for some reason and punched the pilot out? There's a lot of unanswered questions. Now, that's a very interesting spin on this particular situation when it comes down to it. Was it the airplane itself that just so happened to take this out of play? It's really amazing if that's the case. I think it's fun that that's a deal, and that maybe we should be looking and paying attention to that to see if that wasn't a malfunction to understand this particular incident. Now, there's quite an incident to go along with this story. So that, it's just the aircraft kept flying. This is other major questions include how the aircraft continued flying for 60 miles before crashing in a field near Indiantown, South Carolina, and why the pilot bailed out. If the bailout was intentional, of a plane that was able to keep operating for that long. Said Mark Cancian, retired Marine Corps Reserve Colonel. If it flew that far, could the pilot have landed in some place? Why punch out where he did? The search for the aircraft lasted more than a day before the debris was ultimately located Monday in the South Carolina law enforcement helicopter. Now, this is the interesting one. This is where this story gets super interesting because it goes from being okay, so they potentially lost the aircraft to a malfunction of a seat and this bizarre crash that it is that just so happened to be about 60 miles away from where it initially was. So now I went out and I was looking around for this particular story and I come across the Western Journal. Western Journal says this bizarre interview of what in the world is this? Now, this is quite the bizarre interview in itself. I was in the bathroom taking a shave and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. So the 72-year-old man, between a screech and a whistle, I'm like, oh no, this is hilarious. So their little 2-second clip wasn't going to do me any good. It wasn't going to do me any good whatsoever to listen to. I'm like, I need to get to the actual website of the station that filmed this and see if they have the full footage. And guess what? Of course they do. Of course they do. So then that takes us to this one. I'm going to reshare that real quick so that we can listen to this video, because this video is what makes it worth the while.
Crashing nearby. Was out here. He told me he actually heard the plane as it was flying past his house and crashing nearby, but he didn't know what it was.
I'm almost October the 6th. I'll be 72 years old.
Randolph White retired from his job at the paper mill in Georgetown 10 years ago. He lives in this house with his wife in a very rural area of Williamsburg County.
Well, it's nice and quiet and peaceful, and I don't have to worry about people that, close up tight. I like space.
He loves living about 2 miles away from where he grew up. Normally, it's pretty quiet, but on Sunday afternoon,
I was in the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White said,
What in the world is this? This man is awesome. He's awesome. He's totally worth the interview.
he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he
saw that between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this? And I heard a boom. Then my whole house shook.
White says he didn't realize it was a plane at the time, so he didn't call anybody.
The first thought came to me, I said, what's a meteorite coming out of space or something? And I said, well, if it's an airplane, it needed to be reported. That thing was flying just too low. So yesterday evening, I said, the helicopters, I was out there walking, and choppers keep flying around. I said, well, somebody must have robbed a banker, killed some people or whatever. So I walked up there. He told me it was about the plane.
The F-35B airplane wreckage created an extensive debris field. The wreckage is located off Old Georgetown Road. Military security is very tight, with numerous red and white signs on the side of the road that read, "No trespassing. This area has been designated a national defense area."
Just through the grace of God, nobody didn't get hurt. Because the church right up there, about a half mile.
About a mile of Old Georgetown Road will be closed for an unknown period of time.
Anything man-made can malfunction. So you try to give them the benefit of the doubt. But it needs to be investigated, and the public needs to know what really happened. It shouldn't be kept a secret what happened, because, it could have been a major disaster.
And we have all of the information that we have been able to gather.
Could have been a major disaster.
Website. Just log on.
As this man just so happened to still be alive to tell you the story about how he heard a F-35 bomber you come out of the sky in a high screeching
To counton2.com.
as it be.
I was in the bathroom taking a shave, and I heard a screeching, between a screech and a whistle. I said, what in the world is this?
It's so good. It's so good to hear somebody tell a story so energetically at such a ripe old age. I'm so glad that somebody heard this come out of the sky, and for it to be this man, it just made it all so much better of a story. Does this sound like that goat video? Potentially. What's up, Jimmy? Like Maui, 100% of the plane could have crashed in the house. The shave? Yes, he was taking a shave. It's so good. It's the best. I know, right? It's when I seen this earlier, I'm like, oh my god, this is like one of the first things I seen this morning, and I sat around for quite a period of time today, without telling anybody about it because I thought it was just so good. I'm gonna turn this into a thing later on. I'll go and I'll clip it and make another video out of it, and hopefully I get a bunch of clicks on it because it should get clicks. It should be a very clickable thing. I'm glad that I was able to do this tonight on this particular instance. I kind of still leads a lot of questions to the actual incident as to what happened to uh, the person that was in the plane. Now, earlier, and I didn't really catch exactly if that was something that she said it was. As I was talking with those in Discord, and Beautiful had brought up this person, this guy that I thought was hilarious, and I think Boomer brought something up about it as well. Maybe she was just talking and she didn't share anything. Something to go along with being the first woman of sorts or something. I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue exactly what was said, and I didn't find any information on it because I was looking for information on it for what she had said, and couldn't find any. If I had found some, I would have totally have read and divulged that information. Okay, so a couple few things. And I know we have the tendency to go ahead and we're not going to do a Rumble exclusive tonight. We're going to stay right here tonight on YouTube as well. We are here. Hit that like button, share this out to those places that like to share things. We're going to go ahead. It's that time of the night. I think I need a little edited screen or whatever that I can click on. This is we're now going into some kind of mind fuck zone, something or other. I mean, I don't know. Transgender male crowned homecoming queen in Missouri high school ceremony. A male student of Park High School in Kansas City, Missouri, was just crowned homecoming queen, beating out the 4 female competitors. Tristan Young, who identifies as a female, was announced as the winner September 15th of the celebratory post in social media in North Kansas School District. Yay! I bet those 4 girls feel so wonderful themselves that they lost out to a man. It's disturbing. It's very disturbing that we continuously go down this path over and over again. A lot of times YouTube doesn't load messages, so I don't see them. Thought going out, come back in. Queen, nice played words, yes. So if I don't reply to whatever, most likely why. If I don't reply to whatever, most likely why, just saying, did I say something that made you think that? I'm confused. I'm confused. Go hacking. Clear my mind. A lot of times YouTube doesn't load messages. Oh, okay. No, you're good. We control the vertical and horizontal. Do not adjust your set. Y'all are good. No, not me. Not you. Continue with your story. Continue with your story. So happy homecoming, Queen. You can't tell whatsoever. Marred forever. Every single one of these girls are going to remember this, that they're beat out by this dude. As things work themselves out and we start figuring out how to counteract a lot of this, Pennsylvania is finally doing something somewhat correct, I guess. It's not Pennsylvania doing it, it's the students. Pennsylvania students stage walkouts in protest of inclusive trans restroom policies. This week, hundreds of high school students in Pennsylvania staged walkouts and protest biological males using women's restrooms. Students from Perkiomen Valley School District participated in a walkout after the school board did not enact a policy requiring students who identify as transgender to use the restroom corresponding with their biological sex, according to the report from Fox News. Kids are upset. Girls, we wanted to protect them. They're upset. They didn't want men in their bathroom. Hey, they get what they want. They get what they want. And if they say no, they don't want men in their bathrooms, regardless to what you think you are. When you are something other than that, women have the tendency to maybe kind of frown at it sometimes and aren't always also inclusive. The safety of females is important, and these students that stood out and that walked out, they are on the condemned. To be commended. I'm sorry. They're to be commended. They have courage. They have exercised their First Amendment rights. This is about protecting our children and our privacy of boys and girls in this simple biology. Just the thought of all this being something that needed to happen, that students needed to go ahead and stage their own walkouts, protests to get their bathrooms to be what they are intended to be, men's and women's bathrooms. This co-ed and this, that, and the other, this all-inclusiveness at young ages doesn't necessarily need to be a thing. I give it to the students for being the ones to stand up to this and think that they can do something better by doing just this and protesting via walkouts. Good for them. I'm glad that they did it. Jacob Castro, what's up? Good to see you. We should label them XXXY. Just label them penis, no penis, or you're tallywhacker, no tallywhacker. Start replacing bot. Why should anyone have to respect something that is literally created? I don't know. It's ridiculous that we're at that point. It is ridiculous that we're at this point, isn't it? Some chop them off, and I thought of that. I mean, some really don't chop it off, and they leave it hang, as they don't want to play with it because they know that's something to not mess with. Start replacing boy with girl bathroom signs. XXXY. So far as to chop it off, you're probably not a threat. Right, exactly. Remove it. Go ahead, remove it, and maybe you might be thought of a little differently. But there's so many of them that are not removing it, and they're still calling themselves what they want. So, as we talk about those that we're not going to tease, we're not going to tease them. We're just going to laugh at them. Dresses returned to Tanzanian designer after they were stolen by Joe Biden's crazy nuclear disposal expert 5 years ago. Oh no. Oh no. You remember the luggage thief? Remember the luggage thief? He's been in the news a couple times. We've covered it the few times that it's been around. Let's change this. Let's get you the video so we can listen to it. They have to say about
of energy officials' home have been returned to a Tanzanian fashion designer. Sam Brinton is facing charges after the designer claims he stole the woman's luggage from an airport in 2018. She filed a police report when seeing photos of Brinton wearing her unique red dress. A preliminary hearing has been scheduled for December in Texas.
Oops, you get another hearing. You get another hearing for wearing people's clothes and not realizing whose clothes they really are. Good job. Good job, Sam. Get charged yet one more time. But I have a Wang and I identify as anything no Wang? No. No. I don't think you should. I don't think you should be able to. I don't think you should be able to in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's a thing that we should even acknowledge. Take it off, remove it. Okay, we'll think about it. Till you do it, no, I don't think that we should acknowledge that. Just saying. But you know, there's that Sam Brinton coming up yet one more time for stealing luggage, something that he'd done a long time ago, and they finally realized who did it because of the clothes that he's wearing. He stole them not for the luggage that they wear, but for the content that was inside. He may have actually known what was inside. And stole what he knew what was there. How he knew? I have no clue. Okay, 2 stories left for you. I got 2 stories left. One is about a monument. The other one is very sweet. When I seen these earlier, it made me laugh so hard. This first one anyway, I just seriously, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, there's literally like pointing it out. City's proposed AIDS monument looks exactly like a butthole. Oh, okay. Residents of Palm Springs, California, have a bit butthurt over the proposed AIDS memorial sculpture. Looks suspiciously like a human anus. The design, which is meant to honor individuals who have lost their lives in HIV and AIDS and facing backlash or inappropriate connotations, according to KESQ, Palm Springs residents are not fully convinced that they should be the artistic representation of the deadly disease, according to the outlet. Mock-ups on how the downtown park installation might look show a 9-foot-tall wheel of limestone with serrations converging from the butthole or the center. The donut-shaped sculpture by Philip K. Smith was meant to be a symbol of hope, according to Palm Springs AIDS Memorial Structure website. The structure that will become the Palm Springs AIDS Memorial is intended to be a touchstone to the community. It's an artwork that is meant to be a tactile, encouraging touch to facilitate the connection and engagement. It is about people and artwork, and have been scaled to be the human scale. The circular torus shape inspires a connected round, a cornerless form that provides space for the community and individual across its surface. Some community members had a different interpretation. Local residents, Clay Sales, called it a piece of art looking at the purpose instead of the other way around. From Gene Breck, so that the backside of this proposed memorial looks like a graphic depiction of backside of a human being. With many residents voicing the concerns of the installation's design trending on social media, the organization has announced the revised version of the sculpture is on its way, according to LGBTQ Nation. Oh, we got to revise that. Hurry up. Change it. We don't want it to look like an anus. It's just so bad. Oh no. Zero self-awareness. White college grads speaking on behalf of the minorities. How are these people considered artists? For crying out loud. Exactly. I could have drawn something like that in my dreams, but okay. The inside of the last bathroom would be a wild scene. It's all stupid. Don't care if they change the anus part. Yeah, I mean, just leave it now. Don't waste your money changing it. You already put it up. If that's the case, just leave it there. Glad that it can look like whatever you didn't just assume it to look like yourself. You got to look at it from almost everybody else's eyes, because everybody has an opinion, and that's an opinion for sure. Looks like a shitty donut. I mean, Jacob Castro's sitting there putting donuts up over here and over on Rumble, so I mean, maybe he thought so too. Maybe he thought so too. But it just like, what the fuck? What are people on nowadays? What's wrong with people? Why can't people just be better people? Like these people. Kansas farmer plants 1.2 million sunflowers for his wife. A perfect 50th anniversary gift. 1.2 million sunflowers. Could you imagine?
A Pratt farmer gave his wife a special gift to celebrate their 50th anniversary.
Cake Savvy Ray shows us the sunflower surprise.
Sunflowers. As far as the eye can see, one couple's love story leads them to a field of flowers. Lee Wilson decided to farm a different kind of crop than he usually does this season for a very special reason.
So we're celebrating our 50th wedding anniversary, August 10th, and what's a guy get his gal on their 50th? And I put a lot of thought into it, and she always liked sunflowers, and I thought this is the year to plant sunflowers. So we planted her 80 acres of sunflowers.
Just how many sunflowers is that exactly?
There's about 1.2 million flowers in this field.
That's 15,000 flowers per acre. Lee planted the field back in May secretly with the help of his son, so his wife Renee would be surprised.
It made me feel very special, and it couldn't have been a more perfect anniversary gift than a field of sunflowers.
The pair has been together almost their entire lives.
But we met in high school. She couldn't date till she was 16. And I called her on her 16th birthday, and that's when we started dating. And we had our first date.
Well, wait a minute. Who's 16? 16. You don't say that at one point in time it was okay to be sweet and love somebody forever from the age of 16.
The roller skating party, an FFA roller skating party in Harper, Kansas.
When did you know she was the one?
Probably that day.
The new Pratt sunflower field has drawn in people from all over Kansas to take pictures and experience the state flower in full bloom. Do the Wilsons plan on making this a tradition?
Oh, it's been fun, but I think that one time is enough for us. It's somebody else's turn next year.
The field can be seen 4 miles east of Pratt on the south side of Highway 54.
Something else to keep in mind is sunflower season is short, so these flowers will only be picture perfect for another 10 to 14 days. In Pratt, Abby Ray, Cake News, on your side.
Thank you, Abby. So when it comes down to it, it's such a sweet story at the very end of this wonderful day for us to go away on. I do appreciate y'all. I hope that everybody can find somebody that they can spend their life with, like those people did. They've been together forever. 50 years? That's a long time. Usually don't get that. Too much anymore. Too many walking out, walking away, and wanting nothing to do with family, but comes along with that. Again, thank you all so very, very much for being here. I do appreciate y'all. Make sure that you bump those like buttons, share this stuff out to those places you like to share things. Let people know where you're at. Let people know where you're at. You should always do that. And I have the tendency to think about it, and I think about it at the beginning, I think about it during, and then right when I get towards the end, I have the tendency to forget. Let's see if we can't redirect somewhere. Drop in on somebody doing something somewhere. Guess we'll go there. MG Law looks like he's doing something. Really don't see anybody else doing anything at this point in time. Looks like most people have actually gone away for the night. That allow. Oh no, let's go here. Take ourselves over to the ranting monkey. I like that guy. It's a good place to redirect to. If I can remember how or where to do that. And here we go. Again, love y'all. Later.
We're winning all the competition. Because all the women in my family are smarter than I am.
I don't want to live on this planet anymore.